Hello and welcome to this video. I am Swanendu. In this video, we will be learning top 3 new features of CSharp 9.0 through the demo. Before that, let us know the prerequisites for these new features. First of all, we need to download .NET 5.0. For .NET 5.0, we need Visual Studio 2019 version 16.8 and above. This .NET 5.0 includes 3 runtimes: .NET Runtime, ASP.NET Core Runtime and .NET Desktop Runtime. Before .NET 5.0, we have only up to .NET Core 3.1. After that, we have .NET 5.0, which includes .NET as well as .NET Core Runtime. So there will be no separate naming for the .NET Core. So once we install .NET 5.0, we will have both .NET as well as .NET Core Runtime in our system. And this .NET 5.0 includes CSharp 9.0. And this .NET 5.0 supports Linux, Mac and the Windows operating system. Before installation, please upgrade your Visual Studio version to v16.8 or above. Now let us go to the Visual Studio for the demonstration. These are the top 3 new features of CSharp 9.0. Init only setters, records and top level statement. First we will understand the init only setters. Now I am in the Visual Studio. Let us create one project first. New project. Search the console application. I will be creating one console application. Console app.NET Core C#. Next, C# 9 features. Now the console application is created. This is program class, this is main method. Before discussing the init only setters, first let us create a context to understand where we can use this new feature. So to do that, first let us create one class called employee. This is employee class. There are 3 properties: employee ID, name and address. First let us create one employee object. Employee class emp object is equal to new employee class. Let us initialize. Now we have initialized the employee class. We have created one employee object, right? Now let us print the address. Let me commenting out this one. Address is employer object dot address, right? Now let us try to change the address property. This is employee object. This is employee object dot address. Now we are updating this with new value. Let's say new address. Now there is no compilation error. This is allowing us to update the address property even after we have created the object. See, here we have created the employee object, we have assigned the property, and after that we can change the property value. We can change the value of the address property. There is no compilation error. Now let us print this also. Let us change this as new address. Run this application and see the value. Let us type it as old address is. Now see, old address is address 1, new address is new address. That means system allowed us to update the value of a property even after the object creation. Let me close this. That means we can update the value of a property after object creation. That's why this property is mutable. Mutable means we can update the value after object creation. So to make it immutable, we have to do something. So our target is to make this property immutable so that we cannot change the value of this property after object creation. There is one way to make the property immutable. Let us create the constructor of the employee class. Just pass this parameter here. I am assigning value to the property from the parameter. Now let us make the property as the read only. So let us remove the set. We need to remove the setters, right? Now all 3 property become read only. We have to assign the value only through the constructor. We need to change the signature here. We have just passed the value through the constructor. Now there is a compilation error for the address property. This is saying property or indexer employee.address cannot be assigned to. It is read only. This is read only because we have make this property as the read only. So here we can only assign value to the property during the object creation. When we create the object, only then we can assign the value. After that we cannot assign. Now this property become immutable. That means we cannot update the value of this property after object creation. So this is one of the way to create immutable property. Now see, there is a lot of code to do that. There is a lot of unnecessary code to create the property level immutability. CSharp 9.0 brings one new feature called init only setters. That will solve our problem to make a property as immutable. After we making a particular property as init only, we cannot update the value of that property after object creation. Now let us implement that. Now let us comment this one. To understand better, let us keep this as set. We can set the value. Now let us make the address property as init. Now there is error. This is saying features init only setters is not available in CSharp 8.0. Please use language version 9.0 or greater. See, earlier we have discussed the prerequisite of CSharp 9.0. For CSharp 9.0 we need .NET 5.0. Now let us go to the project. Let us right click it and check the properties. Here the target framework is .NET Core 3.1. Now let us make it to .NET 5.0. Now that error should gone. This error was there because our project was targeting to .NET Core 3.1. This is the feature. This is init only setter. We can implement this in the property level. Let us completely remove this one. Now let us test this here. Again we have to update the syntax here. Here we have assigned value to the respective property. Now there is error. Init only property or indexer employee.address can only be assigned in an object initializer. That means we can assign the value to this property in the object initializer. Here this is object initialization using the new keyword. We cannot update the property after object creation. We can only assign the value in the object initialization. That means now this property become immutable. Now we cannot update this property after object creation. This is compile time error. This is because we have made this property as immutable by assigning it init only setters. These two properties are not immutable now. These are mutable. Now let us see that. Employee object dot name. We can assign the value. For name there is no error, but for address there is error. Because we have made only the address property as the init only. We have not made the name property as the init only. We can update the value of the name. We cannot update the value of the address. Address is now immutable. Name is mutable. So to make it immutable, we can change the value here as init. See, now there should be some error. There is error. See, init only property or indexer employee.name can only be assigned in the object initializer, right? So to make a property immutable, we can use the init only setter. Instead of set, we can replace it with init only setter, just init word. Now we can only assign value of this property during the object initialization when we will be creating the object. After that, we will not be able to update the value of those property. See, there is error. I hope you understand this new feature, init only setter. So these features, this init only setter make the property level immutability. It makes a property immutable. Now to make a class immutable, how we can do that? To make a class completely immutable, we can also use the init only setter for all the property, right? But we can also do the same thing using record keyword. For that, we do not need to write all these property. There will be a shortcut. A record keyword will be allowing us to create a class which is immutable. This will not allow us to update the value of the property. This will not allow us to update the property value after object creation. Now let us use the record keyword. This is the second feature. To do that, let us update with the record keyword. Now let us change the syntax. Employee ID, name and address. Let us remove this. We do not need this. Now pass the value here. 1 Swarnendu, address 1. Now let us remove this. Now see, there is less code, right? We have removed all the properties. There are compile time error. For address, init only property or indexer can only be assigned in an object initializer. Same is here. Name, init only property or indexer employee.name can only be assigned in an object initializer. each property become immutable and the class itself become the immutable, because by default record type is the immutable. Earlier we were able to update the value of the property after the object creation of a class, but now we cannot update the value of a property after the object creation using the record type, right? This is record type. See, there is no constructor, there is no init only setter, but we cannot update the property. This become immutable, right? Now try to update the value of id. For each property there is same error. This is saying we can only update the value during the object initialization. That means this employee record become the immutable. We cannot update any of the property after object creation. Now see the error. This is saying init only property can only be assigned in object initializer. If you can remember, we got the same error during the use of init only setter, right? Init only setter was used to make a property immutable. Record is used to make a class immutable. Class level immutability. Class is mutable. We can update the property of the value after object creation, but record type is not mutable. This is immutable by default. Now let us discuss about the third feature, top level statement. What is that? Top level statements allows us to remove unnecessary code. Let us make some changes before removing the code. This is address, this is name. Now let us comment this one. Now let us run this. Here see, address is address1, name is Swarnendu. Okay. Now let us use the top level statement to remove the unnecessary code. We can achieve the same result by removing the unnecessary code. See, we don't need this. We are removing this one. We also don't need the main method. Let us remove the namespace. Okay. Now see, there is no compilation error. Let us run this. You see, there is same message. You see, this is executed without class and the method. There is no program class, there is no main method. And the address is address1, name is Fernando. This is the top level statement. Top level statement allows us to remove unnecessary code. Now let us remove this one. Just we need to execute the hello world. Okay. See, we have only hello world. Now let us run this. There is no namespace, no class, no method. This, let's see, there is hello world. Okay, this is the magic of top level statement. The most common use case for this feature is to create the teaching material. This is especially useful for the beginners CSharp developer who start their learning by writing the hello world program. If this video helps you, please like the video and subscribe the channel to get this type of video regularly. And thanks for watching.